Evening all, another motor, another day. This is a rather interesting 1.5cc diesel from Australia, made by Phil Morton, I think, in the 90s. This is a PhilTech 1.5cc sports diesel. It's rather unusual in a few ways. First, it has a rather snazzy exhaust muffler. Secondly, the crankcase is not anodized but is painted black, and the colours indicate different numbered runs of models, and I think the black was a limited edition of 50 or so diesels in the 90s. He also made a glow version of this, very similar to look at. Apart from the exhaust, it has one or two other nice touches. The anodizing on the gold head is very neat. It's held on by cap head screws, which is nice. A nice change from the usual crossheads or slot screws. I've undone these slightly, so I'm going to take the head off in a minute. The compression bar is held firm by spring, which again is different but does work. At the front end we've got a prop driver which locks or inserts on the crankshaft with a slot, which is again quite unusual. It fits in there on the slot. I'm not sure it's entirely necessary, but on this design it works quite well. On the back we've got a screw-on rear cover case with a rubber O-ring, which features on the CS Tiger, if you remember, a source of much mirth for the purist, but again it works. On the inside there's a couple of things that are interesting, and I'll see if I can get the head off with one hand. Bit of a fiddle. Something's happening. Come on, baby. No, I need to put this down for 1 second. Hang on. There we go. We're off now. Where are we? Yep. There's the crankcase and the piston. Having removed the liner, which is one exhaust port there, 3 transfer ports there. Does that make it a Schnurler? I'm not sure. But the other interesting thing is can you see that? The liner is not held in the cylinder head, but aligned with a circlip, which you may or may not be able to see there. Just what that circlip does, I've no idea, apart from getting in the way of the head fastening bolts. But it all seems to work. At the back, another interesting... Where have we gone now? Oh yes. Another interesting point, if I can just remove the last half thread of the cover, which I'd done previously. It's hard to see where my hands are with this setup. We have, of course, in there a con rod on a crank pin and underneath the piston. But this I've never seen before in any engines in my limited experience. If you turn it upside down, it's not going to do it now, but if you turned it upside down, and did that, the con rod comes detached on its own from the crankshaft. Now, I've never seen that before. Has it done it this time? No, it hasn't. Well, take it from me, it does, and I've never seen that before. There's quite a lot of play at the top end, the little end, in all sorts of directions, but not much play in the crucial one, that is up and down. And there's no play on the bottom end to speak of, but that definitely does come off when it wants to. And of course, when you go on the stage with animals, there you go, children and engines, it doesn't do what you want. So as you see, I'm not lying, this does just fall out. There's a little bevel on the big end there, can you see that? That's meant to go against the crank web, which it does, because somebody who knows about these things said that when you machine the crank pin in there, it's never dead square, never dead true, so you must chamfer or bevel a little bit of that hill to go over the imperfect right angle. But everything else fits very well. There's a lot of waggle at that end, which probably explains why it falls off. But in the crucial up and down, oh, there is a bit actually, not a lot. However, those things apart, it does go very well. It's a sport engine, so you're not going to get it screaming like a curb or a wasp. But it swings a prop very well, and maybe when the summer comes, the spring comes, we'll get up the garden and annoy the neighbours and give it a run for you. Okay, so that's the last of the Never Buying Any More engines again, to be continued. See you, bye. Bye-bye.